Just because you can afford a payment doesn't mean that you can really afford the item. Guys, I heard something interesting recently and I want to share it with you. And you let me know what you think about it. It's the difference between poor people, middle class people, and rich people, and what they do with their money. For poor people, there usually isn't much money, and so their expenses typically consume all of their money. So poor people tend to use money to simply pay bills, and if they get extra money, they use it on things to feel better and look better. Now, the middle class tends to have more money, so they tend to spend more money on financing bigger and nicer liabilities, like car payments or their use of credit cards. So middle class people tend to use money to finance bigger, nicer things that's going to help them look better. Now, wealthy people, they also have more income. But instead of financing nicer and nicer liabilities, wealthy or rich people tend to buy assets with their money, like real estate or stocks. So wealthy people, they don't use money to look nicer and nicer through things, but instead, they use their money to make more money so that they can buy more assets to make more money in order to buy more assets. And the cycle continues. And so wealthy people end up spending and focusing very little time or energy on looking good. Now, guys, we live in a society that revolves around social media. And so many people are trying to play status games. And I think it's these status games that unfortunately keeps poor people and people in the middle class broke. Now, on this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways that can explain why people go broke trying to look rich. And I want to show you how a lot of people are simply just faking their wealth, because the real end goal is to always be richer than you look. So let's talk about it. Now, the first reason a person might go broke trying to look rich is that a lot of people simply want to look more successful than they really are. We live in a society, guys, that's very, very materialistic. And what you can buy is somehow seen as a status symbol, right? So what you can afford is cool, but what you can make people think you can afford is even cooler. So looking rich becomes just as much of a status symbol as actually having some wealth. So a lot of people do whatever it takes to look the part and look like they can afford a whole lot of stuff. And they believe that raises their status. And so wanting to look wealthy becomes the priority over actually being wealthy, right? So we live kind of like in an illusion. And so we project that same illusion and we call it real and we begin to think it's real, but it's really just fooling ourselves into believing that looking wealthy makes us something that we think others will like more and put us on some pedestal because we look a certain way, right? Now let's go to number 2. Number 2 is this. In our society, guys, pretending to have more money than you really have, it tends to make people feel better about themselves. And it's oftentimes this need to feel better about ourselves that causes people to spend money that they really don't have, borrow money that they really can't afford to borrow on liabilities and other status symbols, right? You know, Gucci or some type of name brand or some type of car or whatever it may be, all in an effort to feel better, because many people attach feelings to stuff. And what happens, guys, is when you tie your feelings into the stuff that you have or the stuff that you feel like you need, and this whole need to consume and consume in order to feel good, you're going to be buying things just to make you feel better. And when you do that, guys, you're fully immersed in emotional spending. You buy to feel better. And when you get in the habit of buying to feel better, you tend to overspend on stuff that you probably shouldn't be buying or financing in the first place. This deep-seated need to feel better causes many people, guys, to go broke trying to feel better about themselves. Guys, if you get any value out of this video, do me a favor. Please smash that like button below. And also share this video with your family, your friends, or your network of good people. And if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to my channel. Now, let's get back to the video. Now, number 3 is this. People who go broke trying to look rich tend to get their self-worth from the approval of other people. The truth is, many people tend to care too much what other people think of them. Now, hey, when you stop worrying about what other people are thinking about you, then having things that other people think are cool just doesn't matter anymore. Look, how many times have you bought something that you thought would make you look cool? Well, Let me finish that sentence all the way out. How many times have you bought something that you think is going to make you look cool to other people so that you feel better about your own self-worth, right? Happens all the time. So many people feel a bit of insecurity because they're so worried what other people are going to think about them. Look, people who are financially healthy, people that have money and build wealth, they tend to have a strong sense of self-worth that is independent of what other people think about them, right? Now let's go to number 4. The fourth thing that can explain people who go broke trying to look rich is that people who are trying to look rich, they get way too comfortable living on the edge financially with little to no money in savings and little to no money invested. Look, you're not supposed to live teetering on the edge of broke, or you're not supposed to live teetering on the edge of having to get a payday loan and living paycheck to paycheck, one small emergency away from homeless. Like, you're not supposed to live like that. Some people get way too comfortable living like that, right? Way too comfortable looking the part and looking rich, but really in the background being really broke. This constant comfort with looking rich and being broke, it robs people of money. Look, people that have money, they don't have to live on this edge. And you're not supposed to live on the edge either. Trying to look rich can really wear you out, right? Let's just keep it real. It can stress you out, cause all types of anxiety, cause health problems because you're trying to look a certain way. At the end of the day, guys, do not be comfortable just looking rich or trying to look rich, but on the other hand, being broke behind the scenes. Looking rich, but really being broke should make you very uncomfortable to the point that you want to do something about it. Now, let's go to number 5. Trying to look rich will put you in more and more debt. Remember this, guys. When you're trying to look rich, you're typically operating off of emotions, not off of logic. So you'll tend to go for impulse buys and purchase things that you really don't need, but they're gonna make you feel better. So let's squash this myth. Let's squash the myth right now. Just because you can afford a payment doesn't mean that you can really afford the item, okay? People go into debt thinking, oh, I can afford it, I can make that payment. But it doesn't mean that you can actually afford the thing that you're trying to buy. It just means you can afford the payment temporarily, right? And then all of a sudden, you got more and more debt. Your debt goes up. Your debt goes up because you're thinking, I can afford the payment, not understanding that the payment and the total amount of the item are two separate things. And now you squash your ability to actually build wealth because you can afford all these things that you're making payments on that you have debt on. Too much debt kills your ability to build wealth. Now listen, I'm not saying that just because you aren't actually wealthy or rich that you can't enjoy nice things. I want you to enjoy nice things, but I want you to enjoy nice things that you can afford. And I'm saying save up for that vacation. Save up for that car, right? Instead of financing everything and taking out new debt and new debt and new debt, say no new debt. Save up for the things that you want as opposed to financing and going into more and more debt so you can look more and more rich, right? When you exercise discipline and you exercise self-control and practice delayed gratification, those things are going to help you avoid debt. And avoiding debt on things that's going down in value is one of the primary things that you have to do if you want to build real wealth, right? The bottom line is this, guys. If you can afford to pay for luxuries and not finance these luxuries or not go into debt to have them, then by all means, go for it. Have fun and enjoy. However, if you're trying to look rich without being financially healthy, which means living within your means and having adequate savings and minimal debt, then you're going to end up living on the edge and broke. The financial health and security for you, your family, and for generations to come is way more important than the opinions of what other people think about you. And it's way more important than what people think you have. Hey, that's my 5 ways people go broke trying to look rich. A lot of people are out here faking wealth. Remember, the goal is not to look richer than you are. The real goal is to be richer than you look. Guys, do me a favor, share this video with someone you know, your friends, your family, your network of good people. Smash the like button below and drop me a comment and let me know what you think. Please consider subscribing to this channel if you're not already a subscriber. Hey, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.